Okay, so Kyler Murray has had this long battle with the Arizona Cardinals about the contract. I assume that uh, Kyler wanted more money. Jesus, I don't know why I didn't just look this shit up before I did this video. I believe he wanted more money. They didn't want to give him that much, and then I guess they gave him that much, but they added all sorts of stipulations to it. Now, this is how I feel about the stipulation, or one stipulation, as we all know, in particular, the independent study clause, which I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna explain why this is a no-go, and Kyler should not sign this shit, and why they did it. All right. Over the past few months or so, Kyler has been portrayed, especially by Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, as being, well, no, not Skip Bayless. Skip loves this guy, but Shannon Sharp has been portraying him as spoiled and high maintenance, and that's been the narrative that apparently the Arizona Cardinals has been running with, because this clause was only to embarrass Kyler, to put him in his place. Okay? Oh, you think you too good for the money that we're offering you? How about this? We're going to put a clause in your contract, and then everybody's going to know that you. I'm not going to say. I was going to say that you're stupid, but I think this clause was more so Kyler Murray's lack of work ethic, which is normal, man. It's normal. It's fucking normal. It's not so normal to top tier quarterbacks, but Kyler isn't a top tier quarterback. He is a middle of the pack. He's not an award winner like a Lamar Jackson, a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Super Bowl champion like an Aaron Rodgers, a Brady, now a Matthew Stafford, and a Patrick Mahomes. So he's middle of the pack. So if there's tiers to it, he would be in B tier. Okay? And the only reason why I put Matthew Stafford in the A tier is because of the Super Bowl that they're just coming out. And there might be more Super Bowls in the future. Who knows? But this clause was only meant to embarrass him. I don't know what it is, but the NFL finds enjoyment in humbling black athletes. Look at Antonio Brown. Now, let me say this, and this is going to sound inflammatory, but I'm going to say this anyway because this is something I've been saying, especially when the Antonio Brown situation popped up. It was fraudulent. That shit was not real. It even came out not too long after he was accused of sexual misconduct. Even after he was accused of this, it even came out that they had a prior relationship. So it wasn't even like it wasn't some weird, creepy American Psycho type of vibe or some shit, whatever this chick tried to make it seem like. All right. My theory is the Pittsburgh Steelers paid her to come out and say, well, he did it, because she's a personal trainer of Antonio Brown, their top asset. She's a personal trainer of his. There's no way the Pittsburgh Steelers know nothing about this girl. There's no fucking way. There's no way. I'm sure all these organizations, they know who their players are going out and saying to work on their body, to work on whatever. If they go to a therapist, they'll know about that shit too. Like, there's no way the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to skate by with, we knew nothing about this girl. We know nothing about this, so how do we have a part to play? They paid this girl to say these things about Antonio Brown. Why, you ask? Because Antonio Brown was not happy. He hasn't been happy for years in fucking Pittsburgh. Now, let me say this. Sure, Antonio Brown has proved himself to be a clown, has proved himself to be a little too eccentric, okay? Especially with the situation that was hanging over his head. He wasn't given... There was a time where I used to be very combative, right? Where I used to buck against the system or whatever, and I used to have oppositional defiant disorder or whatever, right? So, I mean, sometimes I will fight. Even if I win, I will still fight because I couldn't stop, And sometimes I will turn a win into a loss because of my because of my behavior. My behavior was causing me to lose in these situations. Even if I was in the right, still caused me to lose. And I think that's what Antonio Brown was doing. Now, what happened in Tampa Bay, I know people are looking at like, oh, look at him. He walked out on the field. He made a clown show of the situation. Antonio Brown said he didn't want to play while he was hurt. They were forcing him to play. Bruce Arians was forcing him to play. Why do you think Brady retired and then came back? Because that locker room was starting to buck against Bruce Arians. And you do not want to be in that locker room when it turns against the coach. It's just a messy situation. And then you're going to have Brady choosing sides. So what happened was Brady came back under the agreement that Bruce Arians stepped down. I say all that to say this. Antonio Brown isn't as bad as people are portraying him to be. And it all started because the Pittsburgh Steelers stained his name. Now, some may make an argument with whom FaceTiming in the locker room. That was clearly in defiance of Mike Tomlin, who I believe Antonio Brown has no respect for. And to be honest, I don't blame him. Mike Tomlin doesn't seem like the kind of guy, if I was a football player in the NFL, that I would respect. When Terry Bradshaw came out and said that he was a cheerleader, clearly it's from personal experience. And you never want a head coach that's a cheerleader, because that means they're not doing their fucking job. And you know who else I suspect of being a cheerleader? And I'm going to just say this as a little side note. Ime Udoka. I think he's a cheerleader, bruh. I don't think he's actually coaching these boys. Turnovers, stagnation on offense, the terrible three-pointers, double teaming at the three. Those are signs of bad coaching or lack thereof. And that's what I got to say about that. But these organizations, they find enjoyment in embarrassing young black athletes. Look at Deshaun Watson. You mean to tell me this guy, over the course of years, sexually assaulted masseuse, like 20 of them. He was being sexually inappropriate to 20 different masseuses or whatever, masseusai or whatever the plural is for a masseuse. But this dude was accused over 20 of them. How does that even make any sense to anybody? Like, that doesn't make any sense. How do you're sexually inappropriate. You're getting them to give you hand jobs and have sex with you, right? It's over 20 different women. And nobody knows shit until he wants to leave Houston. Y'all see a pattern here? A player bucks against the organization. Then reports start coming out of misconduct against said player. It's weird, bro. I'm sorry, and I keep saying this. Ben Roethlisberger literally raped the girl, and then the case just disappeared. He never went to jail. As far as I know, he never paid a settlement. It just went away. Nobody talks about it, which is sketchy as fuck to me. But like, people still talk about Ray Lewis being a murderer to this day. Till this day, they still talk about that man being a murderer. So I'm just saying, the NFL's love of embarrassing black athletes is starting to get a little out of hand. And this clause was nothing but to humble and put Kyler in his place. And if I'm Kyler, I'm not signing it. I'm not signing that contract. You gotta... You better trade me, or you better release me, or I'm walking out not release. They better trade him. If they release him, I mean, you get nothing for him anyway. And there's only 1 year left in this contract. But the only way I can see them releasing Kyler Murray is if he starts to become a cancer in the locker room. Right now, Arizona is primed to win. I'm not talking about win a title, but they're primed to make the playoffs. So you don't want the most important piece of your team becoming uber defiant to the point where it starts to divide the locker room. And it will. Kyler is a great young player. I don't know him personally, so I can't speak to his character. But if I'm him, man, a team is going to pay me. They're going to pay me. I may not get as much as Arizona's offering, but I'm going to get something. But more importantly, I'm going to be somewhere where they're going to respect me enough to not pull some shit like this. And I get it. When contracts are discussed or announced or whatever, contracts should never be fucking announced. The only thing that you should know is how many years. How many fucking years a player is getting. I don't know who is leaking, oh, he's getting this much money or that much money or, this clause is in there, that clause. That shit should never be disclosed, man. These are private negotiations. Why is that shit discussed? It doesn't make any sense. But it is discussed. So let's just say if I'm Kyler, I'm not signing this. All right, I'm letting my rookie contract play out. I'm going to free agency. I believe they got a 5th-year option on him if they want it, which I think they'll take. Or unless this is the 5th. No, I think he's only been in the league for like 3 or 4 years. So if I'm Kyler, all right, I'm playing out this year. If they decide they want to option me in, like once that 5th-year option is done, I'm going. I'm going to free agency. All right, and I'm going to I don't give. You want to franchise tag me? As far as I know, a player has to sign the franchise tag to be franchise tag. You can't just franchise tag them and hold them hostage there. They have to sign it. And the reason why these players sign the franchise, this is what makes what Le'Veon Bell did so fucking stupid. Was he signed the franchise tag because he was getting paid more than any other running back for that 1 year, and then that 1 year turned into 2 years, turned into 3. I think 3 or 4 years he was on a franchise tag because he couldn't stay healthy, but they wanted to hold on to him. If I was Le'Veon Bell, whatever equity I accumulated in the league, I was going to ride out on that shit. No franchise tag. Either you sign me to a long-term contract or you let me hit free agency and I'll go somewhere else. And I think he ended up in New York because they paid him the most. He didn't break the bank like he wanted to, but he ended up in New York because they wanted him the most. But Adam Gase didn't want him. And that's more important than the fact that he went there. Was that Adam Gase didn't want him, which I only assume the GM, pretty much overrode Adam Gase's decision. And when you got a player that a coach doesn't like or doesn't want, it's going to cause problems. Look at RG3. Jay Gruden did not want RG3 as a quarterback. This is why they drafted Kirk Cousins later in the draft. He didn't want Kirk Cousins. And he didn't want RG3, and then RG3 became close to the front office, and it was almost like a corporate guy at the quarterback position. I don't know why he didn't want him. Coming out of college, RG3 was the most talented player. He wasn't the best quarterback, but he was the most talented player coming out of college, and he had a phenomenal rookie year. I actually rooted for him. I wanted Washington to win so bad. I was rooting for him. And he had a great year, got him to the playoffs, and then he suffered a devastating injury in that playoff game, and the rest is history. But that's what this clause is about. And if I'm Kyler, I'm not signing it. Because it's one thing to embarrass me behind closed doors where it's just us that knows about it. There's another thing to embarrass me, and then that shit goes public, and now everybody knows about it. And now the running joke will be Kyler's fucking stupid. That's going to be the running joke. Why would I sign something like that? Why would I agree to something like that? The $230 million. That's why he will sign this. If I'm him, I'm disassociating myself with my agency. I'm finding a new agency, ones that will go to bat for me, and and that's if he signs the. I hope Kyler does not sign this contract. I think this contract is a slap in his face, and is a slap into every young black player's face, because black players already have a stigma that they're not the most professional, they're not the smartest, they're not the most motivated, whatever. I think this is a slap in his face, and if he signs this, he would be doing black players a disservice for a very long time. And the constant abuse that black players take publicly will continue. There was something else I wanted to add as well, but I forgot what it was. But that's it, man. Look, I'm hoping, Kyler, if you can hear this, Kyler, please don't sign this shit. Do not let money define the treatment you will be allowing yourself to receive for years to come. I'm sorry. No amount of money is worth your self-fucking respect. It's not. It's not. And if this team obviously doesn't respect you because they put this bullshit clause in there. I mean, that's what it was. Like, the Cardinals know what they're getting. Kyler's been there for how many years? They know what kind of player he is. They know if he's worth this kind of money. Obviously, he is. They put this shit in there to disrespect him. And whether it's valid or not, nothing like this shit, even if you put it in there, it's like I think Des Bryant signed a contract with the Cowboys where they put a weight clause in there or something like that, or was that another player? It was Des Bryant. Hold on, let me look this up. All right, it was Eddie Lacy. I thought it was Eddie Lacy at first, but I didn't want to jump out on the cliff. I know he had weight problems in the NFL, but like, why do some shit like this? You know what kind of player you're getting, okay? Everybody knew that Eddie Lacy had a weight problem. Okay, this was something a simple conversation behind closed doors would have probably nullified, or you don't sign him. But why would you put in a contract, yo? Don't be a fat ass. All right, work out, get your weight under control, and keep it that way. Like, clause. That's pretty much what the fucking clause was. It was don't be a fat ass clause. All right, like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you run the risk of destroying a player's self-confidence by doing that? Whether it's valid or not, it's about respect. It's about respect, and I get it. Some people that don't feel what I'm saying, they're gonna be like, well, he should just kept his weight down. Well, Kyler should have just cracked the fucking playbook every once in a while or studied a certain team every once in a while instead of play video games and bullshit with his friends. Whatever. This dude is in the NFL living out a lot of people's dreams, including mine. At one point, I played football in high school. I wanted to be in the NFL. I thought I was good enough. I just lacked the work ethic. All right, because I've realized I didn't love football as much as I liked watching it and talking about it more than I liked playing it. I had a personality issue where I didn't like people. I didn't like anybody. And I was a very awkward kid, man. Like, I had like the most crude humor, man. Like, one time during the game, we were losing, and I was like, "Oh my god, this shit over!" On the sideline with my teammates. I was a kid, man. Like, I realized I just didn't love it because I lack structure. I'm gonna be honest. I lack structure. When it came time for me to be held accountable for my mistakes, I never held myself accountable, which, I shouldn't have made it to the NFL. Obviously, I had a lot of growing up to do, but I mean, this dude gets to live the dream that a lot of us wanted to live. Making the kind of money to be able to support his family for years to come if he manages it right. So I don't know, man. I just hope he takes the route where he's not labeling himself a certain way because the organization thinks that, this is the way that business should be conducted. But, that's it, man. That's a simple conversation stretched into 20 minutes, and that's because I had to talk about the Antonio Brown and Deshaun Watson situations because of its familiarity with this situation for me. When I look back at those situations, this reeks the same way that those reeked, and I care about people, man. I care about people, and even now, I'm older. I'm a little more wiser. I still hate the fucking system, and I think that people should be allowed to make their own choice and fail on their own, or succeed on their own. But they should have the choice to do that, and I'll always be opposed to structure, man, because like, people are people, man. Like, we're gonna make mistakes, and I don't think that people should be punished so egregiously, even if they do make mistakes. And I don't think Antonio Brown did anything wrong. What I do think that he fucked up with was his attitude after the fact. And Deshaun Watson, well, he's been pretty much a fucking angel. The only thing that he did in the eyes of people that was wrong was leave the fucking team. That's the only thing I believe that he did that in the eyes of people. Like, he did that. He wanted to leave. He's disloyal. And then it stretched into all this bullshit. But hopefully Kyler has the sense to not get himself caught up in his bullshit. Kyler seems like a straight up dude. Hopefully he is. Hopefully he doesn't have some skeletons in the closet that the Arizona Cardinals are going to exploit to drive down his value. But that's it, man. I'm done. I swear I'm done.